All right. Well, this is wonderful. We've got a packed house for an artist that has come to us from halfway around the world. This is really exciting. Welcome to another Wayside Furniture and Blind and Sons Studio C live performance. I'm Brad Savage here on the summit, and we're so pleased to welcome in from Australia, Imogen Clark is here. Hello, Imogen.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
It's so great. And welcome to Ohio. We met a couple of years ago at the Philadelphia Radio Industry Conference, the non-com. But it's so cool. You're out making the visits and going to all these radio stations and just spreading the good word of your music and art and what you create for the world. It's great.
Thank you. I think that's the best way to do it. You know, it's nice to put faces to names and to actually be able to visit towns that I haven't been to before. Growing up in Australia, lots of states I'm yet to visit, so it's my first time in Ohio. Very excited to be here.
So great, so great. Well, and we'll talk about everything that's going on with Choking on Fuel, the new second album, and all the stuff you've been doing this year, because it's been a busy year. Let's jump in first and do a live song. Which one do you want to start with here today?
I think I'll start with one of the songs from the new record. It's called All Hard Feelings.
This is Imogen Clark for Studio C Live on the Summit FM.
See, I'm fine, but I'm not doing well. Perpetually overwhelmed. Every cruel thing they ever said, living rent-free in my head, building up my emotional debt. I'm the wound, I'm the salt, and it's probably my fault that I fall too hard, and I show them my cards, only play their hand when they know I'm all in. Then I line on up and do it all again. I'm going under, singing I'm over it, fight for the closure. Maybe it don't exist, I love, but I don't let go. Every paper cuts down to the bone. Time doesn't ease my mind, 'cause I'm all hard feelings. Lost my mind trying to understand yours, even though I knew what I was in for. I can't remember what I did last week, but I can still hear your burnt CD. Hey, it's just another thing on repeat. I'm a mess, I'm a fraud, give you everything I got, only see what you want, and what you want is a blonde. So I'll put you in my pocket and I'll carry you around with everybody who ever let me down. I'm going under, singing I'm over it, fight for the closure. But maybe it don't exist, I love, but I don't let go. Every paper cuts down to the bone. Time doesn't ease my mind, 'cause I'm all hard feelings. I'm going under, singing I'm over it, fight for the closure. But maybe it don't exist, I love, but I don't let go. Every paper cuts down to the bone. Time doesn't ease my mind, 'cause I'm all hard feelings. hard feelings. Say I'm fine, but I'm not doing well.
Well, how about that? There's something special about a radio broadcast and just a single person with guitar and like the magic of the song. Imogen Clark is our guest here in Studio C on the Summit FM. Consider her a worldwide troubadour. Tell us a little bit about your background, Imogen, and whereabouts in Australia that you grew up and kind of your start in music.
Sure. So I grew up in Western Sydney, a really tiny town called Bowen Mountain. It's about 2 hours outside of the city of Sydney, out west in an area called the Hawkesbury. And I grew up with a musical dad. So my dad played in bands and pubs and clubs around Sydney and was a really hard-working musician, always slogging it out multiple nights of the week and working as a teacher during the day. And I kind of just, grew up watching him play gigs a lot. He was also in a Led Zeppelin cover band, which was super cool.
Nice.
So I used to go and watch them when I was like 8 and not supposed to be in pubs. And, I just watched him play and write songs, and that seemed so normal to me. So as I grew up, he was not precious about letting me play his instruments, and that was the kindest thing he could have done for me, because I ended up playing myself and just taking a natural interest in it, and I thought it was the most normal thing. I was like, oh, everyone's dad writes songs and records albums, right? And, that led to me playing around the pubs and clubs myself. From the age of 12, I started doing that professionally and earning money in high school. That was my pocket money. That was the way I earned money. So, and that eventually led to, learning that writing songs was my biggest passion, because I loved to perform, but it was performing my own songs. Once I wrote my first song at 13, 14, that was what I really fell in love with the most. So I was like, it's not just performing, it's not just singing or playing guitar, it's playing these songs I've written about my own life and sharing them with people.
Wow. And so at that point, when did this start to come together as like, hey, I can do this like professionally? And then when did North America start calling?
I think the more songs I wrote and the more I played them just in little venues around the place, free shows, in Sydney, and started taking it outside of my hometown, the more I realized that people were really connecting with the songs, and I was writing them from a place of just growing up. It was really my way of dealing with my life and the challenges of life and the things that came up. And I think people were starting to connect to my songs, and that's what made me realize this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, even though it's not an easy road to take. And when I was 19, I decided to come to Nashville for the first time, my first time in America. And I was playing with an Australian group called Sounds Australia at Americana Fest. And I did a gig at the Bluebird Cafe, and I fell in love with the town and I fell in love with America. And I said right then and there, I will move here one day. It's just a matter of when, not if. And it took about 10 years to actually get it together, but I finally made the move, and it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So you actually are living in Nashville,
yes,
and doing music. Do you feel like just to get your music out there and do appearances like this, do you kind of have to be in America?
I do feel that way, certainly for the sort of music I play. I feel like the storytelling, songwriter, sort of Americana tradition, it all comes from here. It feels like it stems from North America, and it's it's a thriving scene here. And I certainly feel that even in the short time, the year and a half that I've been living here, I feel very embraced by this country.
And do you get to go back home often, or?
I've been lucky so far in that I've gotten to go home for a couple of tours since moving here and spend Christmas with my family, which has been lovely. And I'm going home actually in October for another tour. So I'm trying to make sure I never forget about my fans back in Australia and make sure they know I still love them very much, and go back to see my family. But certainly, feeling like that'll always be my first home, but this is my home now. But that will always be my first home,
Does that inspire some of the new music? Like, is that coming through in the lyrics and songwriting on the new Choking on Fuel album?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of songs on that record that reference getting out, feeling like I needed to break out of the place where I come from. And that's not to say that I don't love it. I think we all sometimes feel a bittersweet relationship with our hometown because it's a place that made us who we are, but it also can be the source of some resentment and some feelings of being trapped. And so there's a little bit of that Born to Run Springsteen inspiration on this record, of me sort of saying, I need to get out of here. I appreciate what it's given me, but it's time for something else.
Right. Well, and that's where great art and experiences in life can come from, right?
Absolutely. That's right.
So are you a Springsteen fan growing up?
Of course. He's my hero. He's the only man that's ever managed to remain my laptop screensaver for the entirety of my life.
Yes.
He's always been there. Other men come and go. That one remains.
Perfect. And then my other question is, you mentioned Americana, and that's certainly in the world of what you're doing. Is there such a thing as Australiana-kana? I don't know. I don't think so.
Look, it's funny because people do ask me that, but I think there is such a thing as that, but it's not as... I guess it's just a much smaller niche than Americana. Americana feels kind of embraced worldwide, whereas Australiana is it's a very small niche, probably,
Yeah. Well, it's great, but look where that journey has brought you, here, and congrats on all the success you're seeing. Imogen Clark in Studio C here on the Summit. How about another song? Which one do you want to do next here?
Well, I thought I would do a song called Squinters, and this song definitely requires a story. Some of you would have found there's little sunglasses on your chairs. They say Imogen Clark's Squinters. And that's because a single from the album, Squinters, it's a song I wrote with Steve Poltz, and a squinter in Sydney is a nickname that is given to someone who lives in Western Sydney but works in the city of Sydney. And so after their 9-to-5 job every day, they're driving home into the west as the sun is setting and they're squinting in the sun. So that's a very specific Sydney folklore story for you. But Steve and I wrote this song about how I imagine my life could have been if I hadn't had the courage to move out of my small hometown and follow that dream. So it's called Squinters. It's so easy to bend time, all my shirts on the clothesline. Now I'm dancing in halftime, and I'm wondering, why did I make a left turn? All it gave me was heartburn. You'd think that one day I might learn, but it's thundering outside. Got a soul full of splinters, driving home with the squinters. All the summers and winters in disguise. I like to tell myself lies. Here I am in the drive-thru with a shake and a loose screw. Gotta make some decisions, a side of fries with my provisions. Now I'm stuck in the suburbs, I guess we should have used rubbers. I'm trying not to feel smothered but I can feel you kick. Got a soul full of splinters, driving home with the squinters. All the summers and winters in disguise. I like to tell myself lies. When hours ago, I used to dream. Now all I do is sleep. Waking up to the sunrise. In the distance I hear cries. I still like to fantasize about what could have been. Got a soul full of splinters, driving home with the squinters. All the summers and winters in disguise. I like to tell myself lies. I like to tell myself lies.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Squinters by Imogen Clark for a Studio C live performance, and that is found on Choking on Fuel, a new album. So this must be the Nashville connection then. Special guests on songs. Some big names, too, like Mickey Raphael works with you on the album. You mentioned Steve Poltz did some co-writing. Jim Lauderdale, who has been here and did Studio C a few months ago. Yeah, Tommy Emmanuel. So how does that kind of come together? Do you just meet these people out and about in Nashville and through music connections?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of crazy because Nashville is a bit like that. You do sort of just meet people regularly, or they're a friend of a friend or whatnot. Jim, I have toured with both as an opening act and a member of his band before in Australia, and we became good mates, and we've written a few songs together now. And Steve Poltz I met at a festival in Australia a few years ago, and he was so cool. He just pointed at me and was like, "You seem cool. Let's write a song together one day." I was like, okay. It was just, honestly, these things do just happen. It's a bit wild. And I think the musicians who end up in Nashville are often the most friendly and collaborative and warm people. And so I found that a lot of people are willing to collaborate with you, even if they don't know your music already, just because they get a good vibe from you, or if they think you're good, that they don't necessarily care if you're not the most huge established artist that's asked them to collaborate.
Or someone like Jim Lauderdale just helping artists on the way up. It's great.
It's fantastic. People who, I appreciate Jim taking me on the road so much. I learned so much from him. And I think there are just so many artists that we've asked, and we just think, they'll probably say no, but we should ask just in case, know. And Tommy and Mickey Raphael, and they just said yes, which is, it goes to show you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, right. Well, and so tell us a little more about the album. Was this recorded here in Nashville area then?
Parts of it came from all over. So there's some parts of it were recorded at Abbey Road in London, which was an experience I will never forget. Parts of it came from LA, parts of it came from Nashville, parts of it even came from Australia. So there's, it's kind of pieced together from all over the place, and people recorded their parts, sometimes remotely, sometimes live in the room. So it was, it really is one of the most collaborative records I've done though. And I think that's what makes it so special to me.
Technology for the artist must have changed a lot, even since you've been recording, being able to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I made an EP EP a few years ago entirely on Zoom because it was in the middle of the pandemic, and we were like, well, we can either make, let this sort of thwart all our plans, or we can just go ahead and figure out the technology around it. And I think that has really, to take a silver lining from a difficult time in all our lives, that is something we learned how to do from that.
Yeah. Well, great. Imogen Clark here in Studio C on the Summit. Let's do another live one. Which one you have up next?
I was thinking I would do the current single, which is called If I Want In. And this is a song very much about trying to break out of the restraints of your hometown and feeling like, you need that new scene to inspire you and get where you're going. There's a railway hotel in every town around here. If you stick around long enough, they'll make you disappear. There's ice in the summer, there's fights in the bars. And out west of the city, you never see stars. Everyone I know is either married or in rehab. I couldn't say which one is worse. I got too much supply and never enough demand. I can't live it in reverse. If I want in, I gotta get out. If I want in, I gotta get out of this. If I want in, I gotta get out of this town. I'm going after this fever dream. You gotta leave to be the homecoming queen. But I've left pieces of myself inside every single dive bar here in Western Sydney. So I took pieces of her with me. Everyone I know is either married or in rehab. I couldn't say which one is worse. I got too much supply and never enough demand. I can't live it in reverse. If I want in, I gotta get out. If I want in, I gotta get out of this. If I want in, I gotta get out of this town. I had to learn who I wasn't to find who I am. The streets of Windsor scream and get out while you can. Don't wanna be a mother and wife to a man who I've known since I was 10. And he's telling all our friends, you should hear her when she sings her little songs on the weekends. Everyone I know is either married or in rehab. I couldn't say which one is worse. I got too much supply and never enough demand. I can't live it in reverse. If I want in, I gotta get out. If I want in, I gotta get out of this. If I want in, I gotta get out of this town. If I want in, I gotta get out of this town. Oh, see you around. Oh, if I want in, I gotta get out of this town. I gotta get out of this.
Our guest here in the Summit's Studio C is Imogen Clark. You just heard If I Want In. We've just started playing that song, and Squinters we've been playing on the station as well. So we thank you for coming in and spending some time here. Let me ask you about radio, because this is a hot issue for us, right? Like, we think we just still think radio matters for new artists, right? Like,
absolutely.
And so from the artist perspective, and in a land as large as America, can you kind of feel that by working with these independent public radio stations that are starting to support your work?
Oh, absolutely. I've never felt more supported, especially in the radio world, than moving to America. And I feel like Australia being a small country with a small population, we don't have anywhere near the level of radio support and amount of stations, and the system that you guys have here is fantastic. And so I hadn't experienced that, and moving here, I felt immediately embraced by radio, and I felt so grateful that there are things like this to come and perform and meet people and be able to kind of share your music so directly with potential new fans. And I think radio is still so important in my view, and I think it needs to remain that way.
For sure. We just like to point that out, and we love hearing that from artists, be it national, international, or even our locals here in the 330 area, because I think in a lot of press, radio is kind of like, they say, oh, that's old and everyone loves streaming or this fancy thing. That's great. And of course, you can reach a ton of people through those new digital platforms. But there's something special about just discovering music out of thin air, right?
I think so. And I think it's, I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think it's so adding to the ways we can discover music is great, but we don't need to be subtracting those things. And there's something so romantic about radio to me. I think it's really beautiful, and I think it can still absolutely make an artist. It can make or break an artist completely. And so it's very important to me for sure.
Well, and this week you've been doing a tour of several stations kind of similar to what we do. In fact, earlier today you were visiting our friends in Columbus at WCBE, and they do like a lunchtime thing, right? You were on air for like a half hour, I think.
Yeah, we did it very similar. We had a chat, we had a performance, and I think being able to go directly to new listeners is so cool and so important, and just it's really fun also for me, especially being in this new country. I'm getting to know the country, and I'm able to people are saying, thank you so much for traveling so far to see us. And to me, I'm like, well, thank you, because you're the one helping get my music to a new country of people for me. It's brand new.
Well, and so I understand you also stopped to see Louisville at WFPK, and also tell us about the Wood Songs Old Time Radio Hour. That's in Kentucky somewhere, right?
Yes, it's in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's held at the Lyric Theatre, and it was so much fun. I've done it twice now, and it's this beautiful radio show that is at the Lyric Theatre and is also broadcast live, and it's an hour of they have two featured artists, and then they also have a kids group from anywhere in America. Kids can come and they can apply to come and play this show, and it's just a very it feels very warm and welcoming, and everybody's so kind, and you get to play a few songs and have a chat with their host Michael. So it's a great time.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like old time. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing in here too.
It's very similar to this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that one's on like 100 stations all around the country, so that's pretty great.
It's great. It's so much fun. But hey, this is really special for me because I love that we get to have a real live audience in the room. Yep. It's so lovely, and it's an intimate room. It feels very special. And my first time in Ohio, so to come here and play for you guys, what a treat for me.
Right,
so thank you.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, thanks. That's kind of how it's all supposed to work, right? Like we always say, the Summit FM is all about music and community and just completing that circle, right? Like music and just building community and building connections. So
that really is what music is about. Music is about community, and I learn that more and more as I get older.
Well, how about another song? Imogen Clark here in Studio C. Which one do you want to do up next?
So this is a song called Sebastian, and it's a bluegrass song on the record recorded with a Newcastle, Australia bluegrass band from Newcastle, Australia called Midnight Chicken, which is my favorite band name ever. So it's called Sebastian. hurricane about to land, take the weary world by storm. You were ready for the ride, I wasn't ready for the fall. In a cafe onto grapes, brought her up, I bit my lip. Made a playlist for the train, told myself get over it. Conversations like a Joni song. Sometimes right can start out feeling wrong. Imagine what we could be, Sebastian. Just you and me, old fashions. Sip it and see, I can change what you see when you're looking at me, Sebastian. What can I do? This magic breaking me into. I can't shake the feeling that I'm cursed. I just wish that I had met you first. I'm so in awe of you, I just hope that she's too. Fever dreams give me away, in my sleep I say your name, harmonizing in the Canberra streets. When you went home with her I could not breathe. Imagine what we could be, Sebastian. Just you and me, old fashions. Sip it and see, I can change what you see when you're looking at me, Sebastian. What can I do? This magic breaking me into. I can't shake the feeling that I'm cursed. I just wish that I had met you first. How dare you make me feel what I'm not allowed to feel? How dare you belong with me when you belong to someone else? Oh, imagine what we could be, Sebastian. Just you and me, old fashions. Sip it and see, I can change what you see when you're looking at me, Sebastian. What can I do? This magic breaking me into. I can't shake the feeling that I'm cursed. Sebastian, 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 Sebastian.
Our guest here in Studio C is Imogen Clark. That was the song Sebastian, also found on the new record Choking on Fuel. And before we'll do one more song, but I want to drill down on Australia real quick, right? So first off, tell us about Vegemite.
Oh my gosh. Look,
Matt Anthony of the Summit has some in the fridge.
it was so sweet for him to bring that in. And
Yeah.
I just want to apologize on behalf of my entire country for Vegemite because it's disgusting. I'm sorry. There are two kinds of people and one of them loves Vegemite and the other hates it, and I am the second one.
Yes.
It's really gross, but it's a massively acquired taste.
Yeah.
But just let me just say, if you do try Vegemite, have an open mind, but spread it very thinly. Don't be spreading it like peanut butter, okay? Spread it very thinly on some white bread. That's the only way to eat it.
Free samples afterward.
Free Vegemite samples for everybody. Everyone
Vegemite
walks
and
out
biscuits.
like spitting.
Yeah. And I always just think of that Men at Work song, Down Under, where they sing about the Vegemite sandwich.
She just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have to cover that song.
I love that song so
Yes.
much. Yep. I get asked to play it a lot in Nashville, actually.
Really? That's so perfect.
People hear my accent, they're like, "Can you play that song?"
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. And then I want to hear. I understand yesterday you and your crew were able to have dinner at Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
And
we were.
that's very Australian. I gotta know, is it authentic?
It is unfortunately, I'm being so negative about Australia, but it is not authentic at all. We don't have anything called Alice Springs chicken. They've basically just taken Australian town names and put random dishes next to it. So they'll be like the Toowoomba salmon. You're like, okay, we don't have anything like that, but that's fine, and it's delicious. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, it's a great restaurant. I think it's funny the branding that they work in, into Australia. So let's talk about Australian music then. Did you grow up listening to AC/DC?
Oh, absolutely, I
Yes.
did. Yeah, with a rocker as a dad.
Yeah.
Lots of AC/DC. Lots of Men at Work. I grew up listening to Colin Hay's voice. Adore Colin Hay. There's so many great Aussie bands, honestly, and I think we punch above our weight when it comes to creating great bands and songwriters. And a lot of them end up coming over here and making it big over here.
I'm trying to, and even in the last, say, 5 years or so, 10 years for sure, there's been a lot of like rock and indie type bands coming out of that.
Absolutely.
Well, and Royal Otis, who were here, they did Studio C a couple of years back before they blew up, but
That's cool. They cleaning up in Australia, all the awards. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Girl and Girl. Who else?
Sons of the East.
Sons of the East.
Them, yeah.
Amyl and the Sniffers we've been playing a lot lately.
I'm the biggest fangirl of Amyl and the Sniffers.
Amyl and the Sniffers.
I love Amyl and the Sniffers.
Yes.
Incredible band.
And our friend Vance Joy.
Oh, Vance Joy. Yeah. There's so many great people coming out of Australia. It makes me proud.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting because there's a lot of different sounds and styles coming out of there too.
Yeah.
We also did during COVID and the pandemic time, we did a Zoom with Amy Shark from Australia.
Oh, cool.
And it was totally crazy because she was in a studio in Sydney. We were on Zoom with an audience of like 100 Summit members, and for us it was 6 p.m. and for her it was 9 a.m. the next morning. So the time change was crazy. But they recorded it, the studio recorded it, and then sent me the wave files. So it was like a real virtual session, just like you were saying about the technology.
It's so great that we can take something positive out of that time, because we've learned a lot. I didn't even know what Zoom was before 2020. I've never heard of Zoom.
Yep.
So, and now I know, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now you can't escape it.
Yeah.
But it must be great to like keep in touch. I mean, what are you kind of sacrificing by moving to Nashville, family and friends and everything you grew up with?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm so close with my mum, and so that's the most heartbreaking thing about it. And if I talk about it too much, I'll cry. But she's a hero to me, and I love my mum so much. And my partner, he still lives in Australia, so it's tough, I think the older I get, the more I realize that you have to sacrifice a lot of things to be able to make a go of this career. It doesn't come easy, but it's so rewarding. And, I would do it all over again, everything that's happened to this point in my 30 years so far. But it does involve a lot of sacrifice, and it's not a quick trip home. And sometimes, I just feel like I wish I could just drive over to my mum's place and say hi. But, we're here and we're making it happen, and I couldn't be more grateful. So.
Well, great. How about one more hand for Imogen Clark? Yes, it's great to have you in Studio C here today. And let's do one more. Let's do one more song here. I think these are great, the acoustic version. Do you get to play out with like full band sometimes in Nashville and stuff too?
Sometimes. But a lot of this album has been inspired by how much solo acoustic touring I've been doing in the last few years. And so, touring around the US and back in Australia and the UK, I've just been doing a lot of solo touring, and so that's why I wanted to make this kind of intimate record that felt very acoustic and sort of quiet but I do sometimes get to play with a band, and I love that equally, but there's something very special about acoustic guitar, a vocal, and a crowd.
Right. So, one more song. Which one do you want to do here for us?
I think I'll end on the song that features both Jim Lauderdale and Tommy Emmanuel on it. So, very lucky to have written this song with Jim Lauderdale, and his beautiful voice features on the track, and Tommy Emmanuel composed this absolutely stunning guitar part, which I'm not even going to attempt to do in the way that he does it. I'll be doing it in my very simple way, but you can hear it on the record if you'd like. And it's a song about really just that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but also sometimes makes you wonder if it's all worth what you give up. So it's called If Your Heart Never Breaks. If your heart never breaks, you won't know how it feels, and you won't appreciate what seemed to be so real. If you've never felt the pain when the warmth fades away, you won't learn from your mistakes. If your heart never breaks. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Then why do I feel the cost isn't worth the fall? If it always worked out and nothing ever went wrong, if happiness was always around, and if life was always long, we all wish that we were stronger, but we all make mistakes. You won't know who you'll be if your heart never breaks. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Then why do I feel the cost isn't worth the fall? We all wish that we were stronger, but we all make mistakes. You won't know how love is made if your heart never breaks. Oh, if your heart never breaks. Thank you.
Well, what a great Studio C performance. Amazing heartfelt songs. Imogen Clark here on the Summit FM. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been so lovely.
It's another Wayside Furniture and Blind and Sons Studio C session. Summit members make it happen, whether they're from down the street or around the world. One more hand, Imogen Clark. Yes.